Hello, everyone. My name's Theo. I play middle linebacker for the Overseas Hurricanes. We're having a little bit of a informal video today. I had a live stream last night that was very informative about the football community. And with some exercises I did yesterday, my legs are not having me. I am currently stretching some hamstrings on the wall because I live in Europe. I live in the Netherlands, and my apartment is quite cramped, so it's really hard to find a decent place to actually do this. Plus, our gyms are closed. I mean, I've had this thing on the charger a lot. It almost died 3 times a day. I'm having massive cramps. I did not... Anyways, hi. So today is going to be a relatively informal video. I would usually be setting up there for a whiteboard session about linebacker chats. Again, I'm a middle linebacker. I try to teach basic concepts of linebacker. But today, if I fold my legs for too terribly long sitting on the ground over there or on the whiteboard, I'm going to cramp. So in terms of comments from the last week about football, there was one on the live stream last night for me. Not yesterday's video was after the live stream. Whole scheduling thing. But yeah, someone had me watch their highlight from their most recent game, and that receiver was trash. The guy was a corner. The receiver he went against was trash, and he wound up getting a tackle for the loss on the slot receiver coming around the backside. And I used to be a DB, or at least I tried to be, and I realize how great that is. Like I said, middle linebacker now, so I'm usually dealing with running backs coming through gaps in the middle, not running out to the side. That's the outside linebacker stuff. But anyways, and then Malcolm, one of my friends, commented on the video from last week, which is when I talked about fun things about the 3-3 defense. That's fun. That's great. He's not a very verbose person to begin with, so... Anyways, are there any other comments? No, not that I know of that are football related. Anyways, so, as you guys saw by the video title, why should you pay attention to football outside of the NFL? Because generally there's a lot of people that watch this channel that come onto my live streams or come into my comments and ask, are you in the NFL? And I'm like, no. I live in Amsterdam. I play for the Hilversum Hurricanes. I'm a middle linebacker, yada yada. Said this before, getting repetitious. And to be fair, there are new people who don't know who I am. Totally understandable. But just because so why should you pay attention to outside of the NFL? Well, there's a lot of people in the United States that play what's called semi-pro football. They are probably already out of college, got a degree, support their family, but still want to play football, never went on to the NFL. Totally fine. They're awesome. I mean, let's say you've got, 50 D1 schools, and you have to pick up, and you can only pick up maybe even 50 receivers from all of that, but each team has about 10 receivers to begin with, and they're all D1 trained. So you've got 500 receivers, only 50 get selected. What happens to the other 450? You know, they go on, they continue getting a degree, maybe they'll play an arena or maybe whatnot, but they go and play semi-pro. So it's possible you could see some really good players playing club sports, is what you guys would call them in the States. Here, they're just sports. Everything's basically a club sport here, unless you're like super duper professional football. Football, soccer. But anyways, dealing with a cramp right now. Hang on. We're going to have a massive cut here. Okay. Oh, that would hurt. So, another thing to pay attention to is go outside of the country. You mean Canada? Outside. Like Netherlands, Belgium, Brazil. I talked with someone last night near the end of the live stream about Brazil. He lives in Brazil. They have like 32 teams in their top league. They basically play like the version of the NFL. They have a huge amount of teams in their league, and the country is big, and they are super passionate down there about playing football. And the same with the guys here in the Netherlands and Germany. Like, Germany has 16 teams in its top level, another 16 in its second level, and then once you get down to GFL 3, you get a bit funky with number of teams because you start dividing things up by state. And then further down than that, you've got all the way down to like regional. And you've got sometimes 4 or 5 teams in a small area. For those of you familiar in the States with like Portland, Oregon, you would have like the Portland team, the Beaverton team, the Gresham team, and the Wilsonville, and the Lake Oswego team, and then maybe a Vancouver team. So that's 5 teams all within a metro area, but they all play each other. So that would be a regional team, or even city teams. Anyways, European cities are set up a little different than the big cluster hells that come with the United States. So yes, currently I was, but my phone wound up going low on battery, so I'm recording this, and I'll get back to the live stream from American Football International and from the Austrian League. Austria, the Grass Giants and the Danube Dragons are playing today, like right now, and I'm in their time zone. They're playing out on the field right now. That way. That way. And I want to get back to that, but I was like, I have to stretch because I was sitting here on the bed and it was like everything is cramping. I got to stretch them out. So yeah, again, really informal video. Again, so if you go to American Football International, you're going to find literally any, and I know that a lot of Americans, y'all love your heritage. You can say, oh, well, yeah, I trace my heritage back to Poland. Guess what? There's a Polish league too. There is a Romanian league. I've played against a Romanian team. I've played against French teams and Belgium and German teams. We have Czech Republic people. We have a Czech Republic guy from the Czech Republic on my team. We had some Finnish guys. We had a Finnish guy on my team, also a Swede, but he was kind of a himbo. They play football all over Europe, a little bit into Africa. I've seen like the Gold Coast, Tunisia, and I've seen a couple teams in Egypt. Cairo Wolves, they're mostly university teams. And I know that Turkey has a couple teams. Russia does too. Japan has a huge league. Super professional. Like they got all the whiz bangs going on. And they are super competitive. Like, I would have to say that I think they're called the XFL. But I would say that the Japanese league is probably the next step below the CFL. And then below that would probably be the German league. And I understand it's not the NFL. It's not the vaunted Carolina Panthers or New England Patriots or the Seattle Seahawks. It's not that. It's not the American teams. But yeah, sure. And I challenge you this. Go watch one of those games. You can search YouTube. You'll find highlights. You'll find whole games from these teams' YouTube pages. You watch that game, like you watch a Brazil game. All 3 hours of it. Well, I don't understand what's going on. Why? Do you need the people to tell you what is going on, or can you watch the game and know what's going on? You don't need to be able to listen to Portuguese. There is an English translation for a lot of German teams. The Austrians are a little bit weird about that, but the German teams tend to, in the higher levels, they tend to announce things in English. We don't usually televise things on my team, but if we did and it had an international audience, they would just click over and speak in English, but they pretty much speak in Dutch. However, most of the words for the sport are so insular to the sport that they just use the English word. Like, there's no Dutch word for touchdown, so they just say touchdown. And they're so good with English, they don't even just say, like, derde en lang, which would be third and long. They'll just say third and long, It's weird listening to our Dutch announcers for football, because the Dutch themselves are so halfy. They're like half English speaking and Dutch. Like, they will switch between languages, like, mid-sentence. And the same thing goes with football announcing. You're like, I understood half of that because they used all the terminology, and then half the Dutch spoken language sounds like English words anyway. So I feel like I understood 70% of what they said, but I feel like I'm missing a lot. That's that. But I will put links to American Football International below, and I will try to find the link to the live stream for the Danube Dragons and the Grass Giants, so you guys can go back and watch that. And I will post the link, if I can find it, to the Spain game that happened yesterday. Yes, yesterday. Spain is currently going on with their league. But with Corona right now, we don't know what's going on with, like, the French league. I know that Italy is having a CFL combine right now, so is Finland, all that jazz. Italy is starting up at the beginning of April, so those live streams are going to start happening. If you're hankering for pretty professional televised football, Italy, Austria, Spain, they're all doing it. But I don't speak those languages. If you know football, you don't have to listen to the announcer. In fact, half the time when I'm at, like, the bars here, the announcers, they're like, oh, we can't really have, like, there's a football match going on right now, and everybody wants to listen to that, but we can turn on the NFL game for you to watch. Do you need the announcers? I'm like, no. They kind of get in the way because they just keep repeating the same thing over and over, let alone the actual replays that they do on the television. And I'm fine just watching the game because I know what's going on. I know how to play the game. In fact, the bartender, Philip, I've actually described football to him, even without hearing the announcers, by what's on the television. But anyways, I need to continue stretching in proper fashions, not just putting my feet up on the wall for like 10 minutes. I will check you guys later if you have any questions about international football. I will defend it. I will die on this hill, as the terminology is now, I guess. Y'all should watch it. Y'all should pay attention to it. Read up. Pick a country in Europe. Find their football. Okay, maybe not Liechtenstein. We have enough issues with Liechtenstein, but like Switzerland, Germany, Belgium, Netherlands, France, UK, Ireland. God, Ireland. I want to meet Irish people, the Irish teams so badly. Their accent would just tickle the heck out of me just listening to like the Cork Admirals, and I'm like, oh my god, you guys are like Irish and you're doing something aggressive as football, and I'm just like, everybody is leprechauns despite the fact that the Irish Super Bowl is called the Shamrock Bowl, and I'm like, you guys are just leaning into this, aren't you? Of course, the Dutch is called the Tulip Bowl, so what can you do? Catch you guys later.